Hi everybody, it's Alexandra here today, and this video is about reading. So today I'm going to talk about one of the most popular types of reading in multiple tests, including Cambridge, Language Cert, and other tests, and simple reading tasks in students' books, in your course books that you're familiar with. And one of such texts is a gap text, and my aim today is to tell you about the strategies and techniques that I use when dealing with such texts myself and when teaching my students. So without further ado, let's get to it. When we talk about reading, it's essential to remember the two main reading techniques. Do you get what I'm talking about? Yes. These are skimming and scanning. So skimming is when you read the text quickly with the aim to get a general idea of the text. And then you do scanning. So you read the text to find specific information. And this is what is essential to do when you deal with any types of text, particularly with gap texts. So before we move on to the sample that I've prepared for you today, let's talk about the strategy that I suggest and that will probably help you deal with this task in a less painful way and may probably give you a different perspective on such texts. So let's go. So when you see a gap text, the first idea that should pop into your head is that you need to look at the title and try to predict what the text can be about. Normally, when you do a gap text yourself, you don't do that. But for example, if you're a teacher and you teach someone the strategies, you prepare a student for an exam, for example, I suggest that you do that because it helps you and your student tune into the text and, somehow try to understand and try to, focus on what he or she is going to read about. After that, you have to skim the text. So you see the text, and of course, you read it quickly just to understand what it is about, whether it's about, you need to identify the topic of your text, to put it simply like that. Okay, after that, you do scanning. So you read for specific information. And at this point, I suggest that you read each passage more carefully and try to identify the subtopic of each passage. So I'll show you how to do that a little in this video later when we talk about a sample text. And also it will be helpful to underline some keywords that scream that give you a hint on to what kind of sentence is missing in this gap text. Then you come to the next point and you read the missing sentences that you need to put in these gaps. So here I'd like to say that when you see such tasks like gap texts, you don't need to, try to first look at the sentences that are missing and then read the text. First, concentrate fully on the text. And then after you have worked with the text, after you have undergone all these steps, you can look at the sentences that you need to fill in the text. And after that, so you do this, you fill in the gaps, you do this gap filling procedure. So now let's look at the sample text. The text I took is the one by Language Cert C2 Mastery Level. So you can download this for free from their website. And I love this text because it's all about this pink, wonderful creatures, flamingos. So I suggest now that you stop this video to read the text. And I've divided this into two slides. So first stop and read this slide. Okay, and after you've read this slide, here is the next slide, the second part of the text. Pause again, read it, and then we'll talk about this. Okay, so Remember, so first technique is that you, first you look at the title, you try to think what the text can be about. In our situation, it's obvious, why are flamingo birds pink? So you understand that probably they're going to talk about the reasons why and how it happens and why they have this amazing pink color feathers. So after you've done that, you've skimmed the text. So you now know what the text is about. And then you look at each passage in particular and try to identify the subtopic. So what each passage is about. And now that's what we're going to do together. So look, the first part, the first two passages of the text. The first one is about the habitat, where this species live, and whether they migrate and where, and how it happens. The second is about their diets and their eating process, so how they actually do, how they eat food and other details. Next passage, it explains why they have this color, why their feathers are some particular colors, how it happens, what is the reason. Then the small passage is about the birds who live in captivity. And the last passage again gives some more information about the sources of this special, I don't know, of carotenoids that birds get when they live in captivity, because this particular thing makes their feathers pink, or this pinkish or orange color that they have. So after we've identified all the subtopics, now let's move on to the sentences that we need to fill in the spaces. So now you might want to stop the video again and look at the proposed sentences. So, and two of the sentences are extra, but first don't think about that. Look at them all, because you might get some ideas already. So you've looked at the sentences. Now let's come back to the text and try to match them. Try to match the spaces with one of the sentences that we have. Okay, so how we do that? Again, so you look at the text, you see that the first passage is about the habitat. So you understand what type of sentences might fit there. So because you know the subtopic, but you always know that in such types of text, there are always sentences or some words that show you in particular, that give you a hint what information is missing. For example, so in the first passage, I've underlined what gives us a hint. Look here. So the first sentence, with their bright feathers and strongly hooked beaks, flamingos are among the most easily recognized water birds. Okay, some introduction. Then comes a sentence, and look at the next sentence that I've underlined. This is typically a tropical area, either a large lake or a lagoon. So the question is, this what? Probably the sentence that is gapped, it gives you this information. And again, let's try to understand what the sentence can be about. So first, it names the word that is this, and this is typically a tropical area. Probably it's all about the place where they fly or migrate or whatnot. So let's look at the range of sentences that we have and try to choose the best. So now again, you may pause the video and try to identify the best sentence that fits there. Okay, so I think you have your guesses now. Let's look what I have. So the sentence that fits here is E. Flamingos are social birds and tens of thousands can live together in one place. So place, so this is the area. So if we move back, look, this is typically a tropical area. So this place is typically a tropical area, either a large lake or a lagoon. So then, Then the second space. So what we have, populations that breed in high altitude lakes, which may freeze over in the winter, move to warmer areas. Okay, warmer areas. So, and you see that the gap suggests that this should be a sentence that rounds off this passage. Again, it's about some certain area or about the movement of flamingos. So, let's look at the choice that we have and try to identify again which one can best fit in there. So, look. Okay, so let's look what we have. It's B. When flamingos travel to other places, they do so mainly at night. So, coming back, we see that in case the weather conditions are not appropriate for flamingos, they move to warmer areas. And here we have an explanation that they, like some additional information, that they do it mainly at night. They migrate, they travel, they change the place of their habitat. So this is it. I'm not going to talk about other passages. I hope now you get the point of how you should approach gap texts. And now I suggest that we recap this short lesson, this short, the short video that I've prepared for you. So before we do that, look at the the answers. So because you might want to get back to the text and do it till the end, or you may want to download it from the site and do it yourself. So to get to check yourself. So and now for the summary. So first, when you see such text, don't try to hasten things up. Don't try to read the sentences. First, deal with the text. Skim it for general understanding, and then scan it to identify some key information, key points, to name the passages, and so on. So this is actually closely connected with the second point. So when you scan, you already can identify and underline something, and always mark it. If you have, for example, if it's a student's book, you can write. If it's a sheet of paper, like write there, underline. If you do it online, there are various tools that you can use to underline too. So please use as many markers as you can, use as many colors as you can to make it visible, to make it, to catch your eye immediately. Then start with the easiest. By that I mean that you don't need to follow like the text. So for example, you're not sure about one gap, so leave it for some time and then do something that you are almost sure or 100% sure is correct, and then get back to the other gaps, because you have fewer sentences, and then it will give you a better picture of what can fit in the spaces. And finally, for example, if it's an exam, I suggest that you leave the task and do something else, and then come back to the task again and to look at it with a fresh eye, and this will give you a better picture, the whole picture of the text, and you will understand whether it's laconic, the structure, it's laconic, coherent, cohesive, and whatnot. So this is how it works. Well, everybody, that's it for today about gap texts. I hope this will be useful for you and you will take something, and something will be handy for you. And now I say goodbye to you. Have a nice day, evening, or whatever time you have right now. Subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and share. I would be really, really happy if you share this video, or of course, if it turns out helpful for you. So, bye-bye.